conversation is for you if you're in a job that you kind of feel like you need to move on from. If you've been contemplating moving from your main hustle to your side hustle for a while, but really don't know where to start from or whether it's even a good move to make. This conversation is for you if you hate your job. This conversation is for you if you hate your boss. If you love your boss and you love your job, but you hate your colleagues and you just can't wait to get out the door. First of all, we're going to be talking about the 5 signs that it is time to move from your 9 to 5 to perhaps your side hustle. And we're also going to be talking about the key steps that you should take if you're considering moving from your moving from your main hustle to your side hustle. And then I'm also going to be sharing with you some of my personal key takeaways from moving from corporate executive to entrepreneurship, what the journey has been like, what it's been like for me. And hopefully, if you have any experiences that you can share as well, I would love to hear them. So I did what y'all do. I did what society expects us to do. I did what your parents expect you to do. And that's go to school. Okay, so I went to school. I did public relations at the Ghana Institute of Journalism, and then I moved on to continue to do public relations at the London School of Public Relations, and then I moved on to do my master's in PR. Yes, I've done a lot of public relations. I moved on to do my master's in PR at the University of Stirling. When I went to Scotland to study for my master's degree in public relations, I did what, every African does, right? You go to the UK or the US or wherever in the world you decide that you're going to further your education. If you're not, doing your master's degree in Ghana or Nigeria or wherever you live, you move outside of your country, and then when you go there, the first thing you do, apart from register to study, is you find a part-time job, right? So I found a part-time job at the Hilton. I went into the Hilton, I applied as a team member because I didn't have any idea of what positions were even available for me to apply for. Met a really wonderful Italian man who was going to be my manager. And he said to me, I want you to be the bookkeeper and hostess. So I started to work at the Hilton, and I was always so fascinated by how, the entire ballroom, they would transform the entire ballroom into something so spectacular. Like, it was just like a normal hotel ballroom. You walk in, there's nothing really happening. But then on days when we had weddings, when we had corporate events, like the room was like magic. It would be transformed into this spectacular space. And I was always so fascinated by that. But I didn't really, think much about it. So anyway, I graduated from the University of Stirling and I got an offer with Morgan Stanley. And so I started work at Morgan Stanley. It was also very exciting. And then obviously, what's the next thing you do? You graduate from school and then they start to ask you, and all this. Yeah, society expects of us. And so 2005, myself and my husband, we were planning, my partner at the time, we were looking to get married. We started to plan our wedding. And I remember in 2005, we were reaching out to Ghana to see if we could find a wedding planner who would, take care of everything. Because at the time, I had my full-time job at Morgan Stanley. He had also started his job at T-Mobile. And yeah, time no day. But then in 2005, wedding planners literally did not exist in Ghana. 2005, there was no such thing as a wedding planner. There were people who did decorations, people who would be able to come in and do, that at the time it was the fabric work thing and the balloons and all of that shebang. Yeah, so there were decorators, but there was nobody planning weddings. And so we were kind of puzzled by that, because having lived in the UK, we had lived in the UK now for I think about 7 years. And so, we kind of expected that this would be normal. This would be something that you would easily find. But we didn't. So my poor mother, she was the one who was taking care of all of the wedding planning preparations. She was the one who was finding the caterers and, the photographers and whoever was going to help with the wedding, all of the vendors, But the thing as well is, when you're planning a wedding with your mother, there are generational differences there, you see. So all of that was very, very stressful, very overwhelming. The entire experience was really overwhelming for me. And I remember that on the morning of my wedding, I cried off all of my makeup because I was so overwhelmed. I was so stressed with everything that was happening. At the end of the wedding, everybody was talking about how beautiful our wedding was. We had a balloon drop, which in 2000, we got married on 14th of January 2006. In 2006, balloon drops, in Ghana, it wasn't like a thing. So it was so fascinating for a lot of people. And it was like, oh wow, you have a balloon drop. So we had the balloon drop as we were walking down the aisle. We had chocolate fountains, all of that shebang. And so people were like, oh wow, your wedding was beautiful. And everybody my father-in-law, up until today, still talks about how beautiful the wedding was. But anyway, we went back to Scotland, and then it was kind of like a light bulb that went off, right? And I think we were on our honeymoon in Spain or something. I can't remember now, so long ago. But it was like a light bulb that went off. We're like, wait, why don't we start our own event planning business? Why is nobody doing this? And so based off of the lack of event planning professionals catering to individuals and, SMEs, we started to think about launching our own business. So anyway, it didn't quite happen up until I had worked at Morgan Stanley. So I had worked at Morgan Stanley for a couple of years, and then we started to think about leaving. And then at the same time, I was asked to take on more responsibility. So I was like, okay, extra money there, say it'll be happy. Everybody likes extra money. And so we were like, okay, let's stay for a little longer. And so we ended up staying. So I was at Morgan Stanley. I worked at Morgan Stanley for about 4 years. And so I remember that in December, I think it was December of 2008, if I remember correctly. So I had just completed work training in Nairobi, in Kenya. So after the work training, and if you've ever, been to Nairobi or Kenya, Nairobi is very similar to Accra, right? It's, nice and hot and warm and everything. And I was like, going back to Scotland in December from this weather. And so I completed the training in Nairobi, Kenya, and we're like, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pass through Ghana. Yeah, for Ghana briefly. Not go back to Scotland. So my husband was still in Scotland, and a part of the story that I missed is that at this point, so I left Scotland for Nairobi when my son was 6 months. I know. We'll talk about that another day. My son and I, we came to Ghana. We came on holiday, and I just chanced upon this position in the Daily Graphic, I remember. And the position, they were advertising for Director of Corporate Affairs and Marketing. And I remember showing it to my brother. I showed it to my brother, and I was like, I think I could give this job a shot. I think I'm going to apply and see. My brother was like, what dear? They don't want small girls who. At the time I was like 20 something. I think I was like 27, 28 or something. They don't want 20 something year olds to come and be Director of Corporate Affairs and Marketing. They want some elderly woman or some elderly guy. I was like, me, I will apply. If they don't pick me, is it on my forehead? I still have my job to, go back to. And so I applied, and true to his word, I went for the interview, and I was the youngest person in the room. At the time, I had dyed my hair blonde, guys. And my eyes, I think I was wearing green or blue contact lenses or something ridiculous like that. And so I was so out of place. So I think I was the last person to be called in for the interview. I went in for the interview. At the end of the interview, they were like, when can you start? It's like, I was so not ready. Listen, guys, we were just on holiday. Mid-tag, yeah, like my clothes and everything, like everything was still back in Scotland. So anyway, they said, when can you start? And then I realized that the position came with a house. Okay, so we had I think we had a 4-bedroom house at the time. The position came with a fully fueled car. I was like, Scotland, me, I do not know you people. Me, Scotland, again, I do not know you people. I'm done. I have a job, I have a car, I have a house. I'm done. Bye, boo. So I called my husband and I'm like, Chale, we've been talking about coming back to Ghana for God knows how long. Since 2006. Yeah, Kasa, we've been talking about coming back to Ghana. I just got a job. So you better pack your stuff and prepare to come back. He's like, huh? Are you serious? Like, he literally did not believe me. He's like, are you serious? What do you mean you're not coming back? You're not coming back, Sesen. So I took my time. I explained to him everything. I said I went for the interview. I was successful. I have been picked. And so, like, literally, they're just waiting on me to start. He's like, oh, wow. Okay, so what are we going to do now? I said, what are we going to do, Saint?
So many questions that